There are moments in history when the ground beneath our feet feels like it's holding a secret, silent, ancient, waiting to be heard in the vast deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia. That silence has lasted for thousands of years, but not anymore. Today we step into a landscape once locked behind fences and guarded from curious eyes, a place where the past refuses to stay buried. What if the stories we grew up hearing weren't just tales? What if the mountains, the stones, and the sands still carry the fingerprints of a people who walked through miracles? And what if the greatest evidence of the Exodus has been sitting in plain sight, hidden only by distance, secrecy, and time? This video is more than a journey. It's a revelation. From blackened mountain peaks that look scorched by fire to inscriptions carved by hands long gone to symbols of faith etched deep into the earth, each discovery connects us to an ancient moment when the impossible became real. Every chapter pulls back another layer of mystery, bringing us closer to a truth many believed was lost forever. So settle in, open your mind, and get ready to witness a story written not on paper, but in stone. Because once you see what lies in the heart of Arabia, you'll never look at history or faith the same way again. For many years, the remote deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia, especially the region surrounding Jebel al-Lawz and Jabal Maqla, were treated as a restricted zone. This wasn't just normal land protection. The area was fenced off with barbed wire, marked with warning signs, and patrolled by security forces. Travelers passing through were often told to turn back, and early explorers reported that photographs were confiscated or that they were escorted away from certain locations. What made this treatment unusual was that the region contained no major military bases or modern infrastructure that would require such secrecy. Instead, the restricted area surrounded ancient mountains, rock formations, and valleys that many independent researchers believe matched descriptions from the Book of Exodus. This intense level of protection created global curiosity about what exactly lay behind the fences. Some local Bedouins shared stories of foreigners being stopped, drones being banned, and access being tightly monitored. Roads leading to the mountains appeared intentionally unmarked or blocked, and historical maps showed trails that were later removed from public circulation. Even satellite images in earlier decades had inconsistent clarity over these areas. For an otherwise quiet desert, this level of control seemed excessive, fueling suspicion that something of archaeological or historical significance was hidden there. When the restrictions slowly eased in recent years, researchers finally documented ruins, inscriptions, and unusual rock structures that appeared to align with the biblical account of the Israelites' journey. The sudden shift from secrecy to gradual openness raised even more questions about why the region had been closed for so long. Whether the motive was religious sensitivity, national preservation, or simple caution, the decades of restricted access gave the area an aura of mystery that continues to intrigue scholars and explorers today. The mountain known as Jabal Maqla in northwest Saudi Arabia stands out immediately because of its unusual summit. Unlike the surrounding reddish and beige granite peaks typical of the region, its top appears completely blackened, almost as if it had been exposed to intense heat. This dramatic coloration is not a thin surface layer that can be scratched away, but a deep, dark coating that has puzzled explorers since it was first documented. Many who have visited note that the rocks higher up the mountain look scorched, contrasting sharply with the untouched stone at lower elevations. The visual effect is striking, especially because the mountain rises abruptly from an otherwise uniform landscape, making the black peak impossible to miss from miles away. The reason this detail attracts such attention is because it mirrors an ancient description in the Book of Exodus, which states that Mount Sinai was wrapped in smoke and fire when the divine presence descended upon it. While volcanic activity is one possible explanation, Jabal Maqla is not a volcanic mountain, and there are no known lava flows or volcanic deposits that could account for the darkened summit. The color is distinct from volcanic basalt, leading some researchers to suggest a different form of heating or mineral transformation may have occurred. In addition to the blackened summit, the mountain's geography includes a large flat plain at its base, an area spacious enough to accommodate a large camp. This detail has also fascinated researchers because it aligns with descriptions of the Israelites gathering at the foot of Mount Sinai. The combination of the scorched-looking peak, dramatic elevation, and natural gathering area below has made this mountain one of the most debated candidates for the true historical Sinai. Whether coincidence or evidence, the physical features match the ancient narrative in ways few other sites do, keeping this location at the center of ongoing investigations. The discovery of inscriptions resembling Proto-Hebrew in northwest Saudi Arabia is one of the most intriguing pieces of evidence connecting the region to early Semitic populations. Proto-Hebrew refers to an early alphabetic script used before Classical Hebrew was fully developed. It evolved from the Proto-Sinaitic and Proto-Canaanite writing systems and is considered one of the earliest phonetic alphabets used by Semitic-speaking groups. Finding such inscriptions far inside Arabia is unexpected because the region is traditionally associated with later Arabian cultures, not early Israelite or Levantine groups. Yet explorers have documented markings carved onto boulders, cliff faces, and scattered rocks throughout this remote desert, featuring shapes and letter forms strikingly similar to early Hebrew characters known from the Bronze Age. These include simple linear strokes, pictograph-like forms, and combinations that resemble known early alphabetic signs used by Semitic people transitioning away from the Egyptian-influenced writing systems. Some inscriptions appear to form recognizable words or names, while others seem to be individual letters or symbols carved during travel. The script is distinct from ancient Timutic, Sephardic, or North Arabian alphabets that emerged later, suggesting it belongs to a much earlier phase of writing. The presence of this script raises significant questions. If a Semitic population with an early alphabet passed through the region, who were they and why were they here? The Bronze Age timeline, when this script would have been in use, overlaps with the traditional dating of the Exodus, leading some researchers to argue that these carvings were left by the Israelites during their wilderness journey. The tools used, carving depth, and stylistic details support the idea that they were made by a mobile group rather than a settled civilization, fitting the profile of wanderers or refugees moving across harsh terrain. Even skeptics acknowledge that the script's location is unusual and that its existence adds an unexpected layer to the archaeological mystery surrounding the Arabian mountains. The sandal carvings found across the mountains and valleys of northwest Saudi Arabia are among the most unusual and symbolic markings in the region. These carvings are simple in appearance, outlines of human feet or sandals etched into large flat stones, but their meaning carries far more weight than their shape suggests. In ancient Semitic cultures, especially around the Late Bronze and early Iron Ages, the foot symbol wasn't merely decorative. It represented ownership, presence, and divine promise. Archaeologists have documented similar carvings in regions historically linked with early Israelite movements, including areas of Jordan and the Levant. In these contexts, the sandal symbol marked territory that had been stepped upon, claimed, or blessed by a migrating people. It served as both a physical marker and a spiritual declaration. What makes the Saudi carvings significant is their distribution. They appear along pathways, near water sources, and in regions hypothesized to be part of the wilderness route described in the Exodus narrative. Many of these carvings are remarkably similar in size and style to those associated with early Israelite settlement markers elsewhere. The outlines typically show a rounded heel, a defined arch, and a tapered front, often carved with precision into hard stone. Their placement suggests intentionality rather than random graffiti. In the context of the biblical story, God promises Moses and the Israelites that every place where their feet tread will be given to them. The presence of sandal carvings in this part of Arabia aligns strikingly with that cultural concept, marking places where a group traveling through harsh terrain believed they were claiming or sanctifying their steps. Some carvings also appear alongside early alphabetic inscriptions, strengthening the possibility they were created by the same migrating population. While debates continue about their exact origin, the symbolism behind them is consistent with the traditions of Semitic tribes, and their appearance in this remote region adds another compelling layer to the argument that a significant ancient people once passed through this land with purpose and faith. The carving of a 7-branched menorah in the deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia stands out as one of the most striking and unexpected discoveries in the region. The menorah is one of the oldest and most recognizable symbols of the Israelite people, deeply connected to their early religious identity. Traditionally, the earliest depictions of the menorah are found in the land of Israel and date many centuries after the period associated with the Exodus. That is why finding such a carving in Arabia, far from Jerusalem or known Israelite settlements, is both unusual and highly significant. The carving is etched into a large rock face with careful lines forming the familiar 7 branches, a detail that suggests the artist not only understood the symbol, but regarded it as sacred. Its style appears primitive yet intentional, indicating it may predate the more refined menorah designs used in later Jewish art and temple decorations. This raises the possibility that the carving comes from an early community carrying the religious traditions associated with Israel long before the establishment of the first temple. If this is true, it would place a distinctly Israelite religious symbol in a location linked by many to the wilderness journey described in the book of Exodus. The carving is also located far from major ancient trade routes, which argues against it being left by merchants or passing travelers. Those who carved it likely had a reason to be in this remote region and a deep connection to the symbol they were engraving. The simplicity of the carving matches other early Semitic rock art in the area, suggesting it was created by people using basic tools while moving through the landscape. Its presence adds weight to the idea that a group with Israelite beliefs once traveled across this territory carrying not only their physical belongings, but their spiritual identity. The massive split rock found in the remote plains of northwest Saudi Arabia is one of the most visually compelling features associated with the Exodus narrative. Rising roughly 60 feet high, this enormous granite formation is divided cleanly down the middle into 2 towering halves, creating a natural gap that can be seen from far across the desert. The separation is so precise and so deep that it appears as though the rock was cracked open by a sudden and powerful force, rather than by slow erosion. What makes this formation even more intriguing is the smooth surfaces between the split halves, which some researchers believe may indicate the past flow of large amounts of water. In an otherwise dry, barren landscape, the idea of water once rushing through such a formation immediately recalls the biblical account of Moses striking the rock at Rephidim to provide water for the Israelites. The surrounding terrain further strengthens the connection for those who see this as evidence. The rock stands on a raised hill, offering visibility across a vast open plain, an area large enough to accommodate thousands of people, matching the descriptions of the Israelites camping in a broad open region. At the base of the rock, there are eroded channels and patterns suggesting the movement of water over time. Despite the absence of any natural springs in the area today, the geological composition of the rock also adds to the mystery. Granite is extremely hard and does not easily split into symmetrical sections, making the formation unusual by natural standards. While some argue that natural geological processes could have created the split, others point out that the combination of its location, shape, and water-worn features aligns strikingly with the biblical event. The rock's dramatic appearance has made it a focal point for researchers and explorers seeking physical traces of the ancient Exodus journey, and its presence continues to fuel debates about whether this remote region preserves memories of a miraculous moment etched into the landscape. In the end, this journey through the deserts of northwest Arabia leaves us with a powerful reminder. The past is not as silent as we often believe. Burned mountain peaks, forbidden valleys, ancient inscriptions, sandal carvings, a mysterious menorah, and a colossal split rock rising alone in the sand. All of these fragments come together like pieces of a forgotten puzzle. Whether one views them as absolute proof or as echoes of an ancient tradition, their presence in this remote landscape challenges us to re-examine what we thought we knew. These discoveries invite us to look deeper, to question boldly, and to recognize that some stories do not fade with time, they wait for the right moment to be uncovered. And when the stones begin to speak, their voice can be stronger than any fence, stronger than any attempt to hide or silence them. The truth, whatever form it takes, endures, it always has, and it always will. Thank you for taking this journey, for exploring these mysteries with an open mind, and for giving your time to a story that still shapes millions of lives today. Your curiosity keeps history alive, and your support makes every new discovery possible. Good luck in everything ahead, and thank you for watching.